Members and residents, I'd like to call to order a regular board meeting for Monday, October 27th, 2025. I'd ask that everyone present please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Batkins.
Here.
Mr. Brado.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Olgiati.
Here.
Mr. Tominello.
Here.
Mr. Witt. Here. Mr. Verkast.
Here. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes approval of the regular board meeting minutes and closed session meeting minutes of October 14th, 2025, approval of the bills in the amount of $1,237,614.45, and approval of the September 2025 revenue and expenditure report. Unless there are any changes, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there support? Support. Got a motion by Mr. Badkins with support by Mr. Olgiati. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Board. Next is the approval of the regular agenda. Board members, it was discussed prior to the meeting that we might switch items E1 and E5. Unless there are any other changes, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda with the suggested revision.
So moved.
Support. Support. A motion by Mr. Witt with support by Mr. Tominello. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Board. Next on the agenda is announcements. First, I'll begin just reminding everybody that this Saturday, November 7th at 1 p.m., we will host our annual Veterans Memorial Dedication Ceremony. That's right here at this location, and our website has information on that if you're interested. I'll also say thank you to everybody who came out to Hallowpalooza, and a special thank you to our volunteers, and I have to say a special thank you to Jessica, who runs our senior center and heads up Parks and Rec. She did an amazing job. So I don't know if there's a report on that, but I'll finish by saying otherwise there's for information on any of these events, you can always call the supervisor's office 586-466-1445 or visit our website harrisontownshipmi.gov.
Yeah, I will give a little report. So on Saturday, we hosted Hallowpalooza at Ballard Park at the Senior Center, and it went wonderful. We had great weather. We were expecting about 200 people, and we had an estimate of 400. We ran out of cider and donuts. We'll make sure we get more for next year, but the Parks and Rec Committee, we decided that we wanted this event to be a little more than just a trunk or treat, so this year we added in some more activities, including pony rides and a petting zoo, different crafts, and we're looking forward to doing the same thing next year, if not maybe expanding a little bit.
Awesome.
Special thank you to Jessica, because she really did such a fantastic job. She works her tail off over there, and so many seniors came as well to volunteer. So that was very cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's a good combination of
It
the
is.
seniors and the kids, you know.
They love to host and have everyone there, and it's their place most of the time, and then they open it up to the community, so it's a great partnership. And a special thank you to the Library and Beautification Committee as well, because they always support and show up to help us.
All right, excellent. Any other announcements?
Just real quick, again, there is no election in Harrison Township this November, so we don't have voting today, tomorrow, or any other day this year. Our next scheduled election will be the statewide primary in August.
Anything else? All right, hearing no other announcements, we'll move forward to the clerk's office, item D1.
Yes, so our current postage machine, a Pitney Bowes item, was purchased in 2017 for $5,865.07. However, this machine is no longer going to be compliant with the USPS regulations at the end of the year, so we won't be able to receive our discounted postage rates that we get with that. So the ongoing costs for this machine include the meter rental fee of $258.75 and then the annual maintenance fee of $510.27. So we received a proposal from a replacement model, the Pitney Bowes Sen Pro C. This is a more basic postage meter design, specifically designed like just for letters, but it will meet all the needs that we have operationally. Our volume of mail has gone down over the years, so we're able to sort of right-size the machine to fit our need. So the cost to purchase the Send Pro C is $5,080.86. And the quarterly meter rental is $135.75, and then the annual maintenance fee is $373.60. Pitney Bowes has been fantastic. Anytime that machine goes down, they're out there on service on the other side. There's really only one other option, and they were not competitive when we looked at pricing. So, therefore, I'm recommending that the board approve the Pitney Bowes Send Pro C postage machine at a cost of $5,080.86, with the quarterly meter rental fee of $135 and the annual maintenance fee of $373.60.
I'll make that motion. Excuse me, I'll make that motion. Support.
Motion by Mr. Tominello, with support by Mr. Brado. There is no real trade-in, or is there any?
It has
value?
no value because they can't use it for what it's made for.
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious, can you expound on what it is that changed?
It's the way the post office wants letters to be marked, is my understanding, and it does not meet the requirements anymore.
Don't say. Okay. All right. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Board. All right, we'll move on next to item E1, which was originally slated to be E5. Down there. So this is regarding the township engineering firm. Board members, Wade Trim has been the township engineering firm since 2006. The Board of Trustees voted to solicit proposals for these services at our July 28, 2025 board meeting. We received 6 proposals. We interviewed each firm. The 3 full-time officials included the Public Services Director and the building official in the interviews, as well as the analysis of the proposals. We then analyzed the cost proposals after ranking the firms based on qualification. After a thorough review of all 6 firms, the recommendation is that we select Fishbeck as the township engineering firm. I recommend that we direct the supervisor and township attorney to develop a contract for engineering services with Fishbeck and direct the 3 full-time officials to develop a plan with Wade Trim and Fishbeck to transfer existing projects as necessary and in the most cost-efficient, effective manner, with both to come back before the board for review and approval. A couple, maybe some additional things since this item was generated. There's probably a need for us to have a discussion with the firm regarding whether this is a contract, the length of contract, those kinds of things. So I kind of feel like there's, multiple steps to go through this, the switch over on existing projects. We think that some of those projects that Wade Trim is working on, they should probably continue on, but until we really select a firm, we can't really sit down and have that discussion. So, we're really just kind of asking for that permission to move forward, but we would develop a contract, a plan, some sort of an idea. We really didn't get into those details in the request for proposals. The second thing that we should consider was the fact that we just talked about this roughly 2 weeks ago. In the selection process, we had a submittal process, and in this case, one of the firms didn't submit their proposal in a timely manner, and happened to be Fishbeck. And I should say, they might say, well, we did, there was a glitch, whatever it is, we'll say this, five of the 6 firms submitted in one way. The 6th firm said, hey, after a week, how come we haven't heard anything? I feel like this is a little bit different because in that week's time, the only thing we did was send an email to 5 firms saying we need to schedule interviews. And we did have a public, sort of a bid acknowledgement meeting, and one of the engineering firms was there, and we did publicly acknowledge that there were 5 firms. In this case, however, the fact that we received a proposal a week late doesn't come with any special. In other words, they didn't know anything about the only thing they knew was that the only thing they could have known is that 5 firms bid. The selection process was to first submit a proposal based on qualifications with a second separate secret, or, not to be opened, proposal for costs. We hadn't even known what the costs were. So, we don't believe that this, snafu, resulted in any advantage. And whereas 2 weeks ago when we talked about it, we had literally published the cost proposal of 3 firms, and then a 4th firm came along. So, but there was an irregularity, so Mr. Huth had suggested, after we talked to him, to make sure that was okay. I think he's got a suggestion for maybe a second motion.
Well, it can be a second motion, or it could be incorporated in your first motion, but I think it makes sense to just incorporate language to, along the lines of, and to waive any irregularities involved in the process here. Because for the reasons that Mr. Verkest stated, there is no advantage given to this firm. For technical reasons, the proposal didn't come in, but it did eventually. But I think just to clean up the whole process, we should add some language to the motion.
Okay. So if there is anyone interested in making the motion, we would just ask that we would include to waive any irregularities in any of the bids received.
Correct.
Discussion, or is there a motion?
I guess I got a question. What does that mean?
Well, our response, our request for proposal said that you had to submit it in this fashion, but it also contains language that says we can waive, if you don't follow any of our rules here, we're allowed to waive those rules. And for circumstances like this, because you wouldn't want to disqualify a firm that had a technical issue submitting a proposal when it's the firm that the township wants to choose anyway.
Well, I guess, why wouldn't we clean up the RFQ process then and change it in that? Why is it gotta be part of this motion? I'm not following.
I don't understand the question, I guess, Brian, but like, the RFQ process is clean. Like, we didn't, there wasn't an error on our part. The document was good, the bid document was great. It's just saying, because the bid by Fishbeck had this irregularity of not meeting the bid deadline, we are waiving that irregularity this board would be taking that action to consider it. Because at this point, like, we talked like, oh, well, you could rebid it, but like, the cards are already on the table, we know what we're doing, that's just dancing to make it look right. But we can say like, hey, we're gonna waive it, there was no advantage to this firm, and it's the firm we want, it's in the best interest of the township, and usually that's part of the clause there, saying like, we feel like this is in the best interest.
And I think the addition was based on the suggestion of the attorney to say, in other words, we're the bid spec says we have the right to reject or accept or modify as we choose, right? His suggestion was merely, if we're gonna choose this firm, to acknowledge that. We had the conversation with at least 2 of the firms based on when we interviewed, because we had sent out an email, there was 5, and they said, so they brought up that number, and I had said, well, actually, no, there was a 6th firm that submitted late, and we're going to interview them. And in each case, when I had said if the roles were reversed and you were the firm that had submitted late, you would probably want us to consider you, number 1, and number 2, what if the late firm is the best firm? In this case, though, because of the process, there was no advantage. There was nothing public made about the bids. The bids came in, we shared the qualification proposal and began the interview process. I think we had interviewed 1 firm when we learned about this, and we just merely scheduled a 6th interview at the same time. So we don't believe that there was any, in other words, let's say somebody came in right now and we were talking about the bid price, and they said, well, we can beat it by 10%. Well, that would seem like that really wouldn't be fair, right? So we felt like this firm was, well, I should say this. When we received the late bid, or when we received the notice, we said, well, send it to us. The worst that can happen is we can say no. We discussed it internally, and then we reached out to Mr. Huth, and he felt that based on the timing, it was perfectly within our rights and responsibilities to consider the 6th firm.
But it wasn't them, was it?
It was.
It was
I
them.
thought it was Spalding.
No.
That was what happened
That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. But in that situation, and again, by no means am I suggesting that any firm did anything wrong in either situation. But in that situation, The first we learned about the fact that there was a fourth bid for that work was after we literally published the board packet with everybody's cost proposal. So we felt that was a little bit different because, well, we don't know what their cost proposal would have been if it had come in on time. It could certainly have been modified for the purposes that it was in late. There was nothing public and nothing shared other than the fact that 5 firms had bid on the work. So there was,
On this
on this-
township engineering.
correct,
So what happened 2 weeks ago is.
radically different. I believe.
So did this firm submit late? Is that what you just said?
On this work. They didn't
So
submit on the other
What's
package.
being asked of us is to change what we decided 2 weeks ago. I don't care.
No, this has nothing to do with 2 weeks ago.
Did they, no, but we had taken, if you were late or if you didn't submit correctly, you were not gonna, your bid wasn't gonna be accepted, right?
That was-
That's what we agreed on.
That was what board members discussed. That was not board action. The board members didn't say, we choose this firm because of these reasons. The board members 2 weeks ago said, we choose this firm because the selection process was flawed. In this case, we believe this is the best firm after an extensive review. We further believe there is no advantage, and it is a very, very different situation than 2 weeks ago.
So how did this go down?
I don't know what that means.
How did this firm submit late? What was the RFQ?
Yes.
Just walk me through that process.
Yep.
I'm happy, just because it was.
To be honest with you, I didn't realize they were late.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, so what had happened, we had a bid deadline in August, I want to say it was like the August 27th. So they had to submit by 2 o'clock on that date, and it said, I will send an email and saying confirmed. The next week, we were in the process of setting up time, and I was contacted by one of the representatives from Fishbeck and said like, hey, I haven't heard anything about scheduling for an interview. What's up? And I said, well, I never got a bid from you in the mail. And so she said, well, let me, what do you guys want? What do you want to do? And I said, well, you know what I can do is you can send it to us and we'll look at it. And the worst we can say is no. And the applicant was very understanding that like, hey, if we lose because we didn't meet it, that's what happens. But we said like, well, internally we discussed it and said, immediately after that, they sent it to us. We had not released any information publicly. It was only internal to share between myself and Ken and Larry and building official and our public services director. And so we scheduled them at the same time we were scheduling everybody else for interviews.
what was the price difference between?
That's a good question. So the reality is this firm is not, the selection process for the engineering firm and the selection criteria we use, which we took from Sterling Heights, was to initially rank the companies based on qualifications and then review cost proposals. And so this isn't the lowest cost proposal. It's important to understand, though, that when we're looking, so there's a couple different things. When we're talking about selecting an engineering firm, there are, I guess I'll say, front room people, there are back room people. So if we request a task to be performed, it could be performed by a number of people. This isn't a flat price, this is a sheet of like hourly rates, right? Second thing is, one of the things we discussed is when do you bill and when do you not bill? And we enjoyed a relationship, we believe, for the majority of our time with our prior engineering firm, where there were a lot of situations where the person that was our primary engineer may have had a physical presence and was able to assist, but we didn't necessarily experience billing for that. So as the committee, we said that no matter what firm we hire, it's very, very similar to hiring a new employee. There's a probationary period, and in essence, we discussed that with each engineering firm. We're going to go a period of time, and we're going to be happy, or we're not going to be happy with that relationship. In fact, we talked about during the interview process about a mutually respected relationship, a situation where the customer is happy with the service provider, but also that the service provider is happy with the way that the customer treats them. And if you don't have both of those, it usually doesn't work. So no matter who we choose, we recognize that there's gonna be a period of time, and we're either gonna say, wow, this relationship works, or it doesn't work. But in terms of saying who's the lowest, it's apples and bananas. There's probably 20 different hourly rates on any sheet.
Okay, so if this firm doesn't contact us, who are we talking about today? Who's the contractor?
Another firm, we ultimately, I mean, I don't know that I'm in a situation to say who we would have chosen. I can only speak as one committee member. I can't say what Larry would have decided or what Adam would have decided.
And really, like, you asked specifically about cost. I could give the same person the same thing, and I think like, oh, this one's gonna have their highest engineer work on it only 15 minutes, but this firm has their highest engineer work on it 3 times, or 3 hours, and the other one's, paying their low person to actually do the work. So it doesn't matter what the hourly rate is. You know what I mean? That was our,
Well,
no, I mean,
it's only one
it
component.
matters, but like that was part of the cost. Like, it's difficult to compare cost across without saying like, yep, you're gonna all do this work the exact same way, because every firm doesn't delegate that work the exact same way. So again, it's gonna be an experience. After a year, we're gonna look at our, bills and look at our experience with them as a firm and a relationship and go, it works, it doesn't work, and like, you just can't be afraid to cut bait and move on, right?
Mr. Witt, what was the original bid due date? You set them, and I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, it's all right. It was August the 27th.
When did you get,
I can look for an exact date if you give me 2 seconds.
I mean, honestly, I think everybody knows where I'm at with this is, I was steadfast on what happened last time.
Mhm.
We didn't submit on time. 5 other bidders did. That's just how it is. That's my personal opinion.
Sure.
So,
I respect
and if it's not going into a portal where there is individuals, one individual that sees that, but when it, and I'm not saying that anybody would do this. All I'm saying is, what was the date that you saw it?
The 3rd of September.
So, a week.
Yep.
So it was a week late.
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion, but you're right, someone else might want to, because I certainly wouldn't add what Mr. Booth wanted to add to it.
Well, the reason we would add that would be, in other words, if we want to choose another firm, we wouldn't really need to say that. The whole point is that if we're going to move forward, we would talk about making sure that this board acknowledges the irregularities and publicly and through a board motion waives them.
Well, it doesn't sound like we're under the gun to make this happen tonight, right? I know that we've got issues with the current firm. We probably want to get somebody under contract pretty quick, but I'd certainly like to see the proposals that came in and the times in which they arrived.
Well, every other proposal arrived on time. I mean, I can tell you that right now.
And was the bid process the same as the last group that we had in front of us?
No.
It was a different bid process?
100%.
Okay.
This is a proposal based on qualifications initially, and then you submit your pricing. The other one was basically a lump sum fee. So,
But what, my question was the process in terms of submitting the bids the same as the other one?
it was an email submission.
Was it through the portal like it was before?
So we don't have a portal.
Okay, well, so, but the last group spelled in, the doctor said it got lost in the portal or got stuck in the
Went to
portal or
the
something.
county, yeah.
Went to the county or.
That's what, right.
So so we're using the same process?
I can't say that. I can't, so let's say this.
There was never posted on a portal to
Right.
say like, to get somebody confused as far as a portal. It was emailed out to people that do business based on a comprehensive list of municipal engineers, and they were all given the opportunity to bid on board.
Yeah, I guess my biggest concern is the fact that we've had 2 snafus in the last 2 bids that we put out, and I just would like to have a little bit more consistency in terms of,
But I'd like to be clear, we did not have snafus.
okay,
So like, the township did not make
Right,
mistakes.
right.
We've discussed mistakes that engineering firms bidding on our work have made.
okay,
And the only reason we're talking about it again is because, or last week, the reason we talked about it last week is because, again, this isn't, that was the reason that was brought up is it was lower cost. If it was $10,000 higher, we would have probably never even brought it up to you guys. It's late, it's late. But we're not going to withhold information from the rest of this board because, the rules say, because the rules say we can waive anything that we want to. We get to act in the best interest of the township, as is our right. And we're doing it at a public meeting where we can say like, hey, yeah, this was a little bit weird, but we think this is the right choice. Today, we're talking about it because, we included them in the process with the understanding that the board had the ability to do it. If this board doesn't want to waive it, that's, the majority of this board's right to make that choice. But after we went through a rather extensive process of, days of time, going through it, we felt this was the right choice. If the board feels that, missing a deadline at the start is a reason to not go with the number one, that's okay.
Yeah, let's say this, I mean, just to be clear. 5 of us went through this evaluation process. So two of our department heads that deal with the engineering firms, as well as the 3 of us that obviously also deal with them. Between preparing the bids, reviewing the bids, going through the interview process, have we invested 40 hours? I'm sure we've invested 40 hours of time. After that extensive process, all 5 of us felt like this was the best firm. None of us felt like the late submission modified our opinion in any way or gave them any advantage. So after that process, we came to this conclusion.
I'm not questioning the footwork that you did in terms of vetting these different companies. That's not my concern whatsoever. My concern is what can we do in the future to clean this process up so that we don't have these same problems again? This is the second time in the last 2. That's my biggest concern with the irregularities.
I think I could address that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So we do not normally do this work. I shouldn't say that. We typically, when we go through a bidding process, we almost always have utilized our engineering firm. So for example, let's say we're going to build a bike path and we want to solicit bids for the bike path. The engineering firm goes through that process. In this case, we utilized the help of a county agency for one bid, and we pirated a bid spec from another one, and instead of using an online portal, we said that has to be submitted via email. I don't know what we could do different. I think we're probably getting to the point where maybe we need to have a portal or some service, but it would be something that we pay for and have a subscription on that we
don't utilize that much.
We don't utilize. So we don't, we don't typically go through that process. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask Mr. Witt if he had the RFQ or the request for proposal handy.
I can.
And what does it say under how the bid will be submitted?
I can tell, it says submitted by email to the clerk.
Yeah.
Does it say late bids will not be accepted? Say anything to that effect?
I have to find that.
If it doesn't, it probably should. I mean, we just talked about this 2 weeks ago, and I didn't hear anything about this until tonight. So I'm, first of all, a little bit surprised that we did that legwork without talking about the position of the board. One person's opinion. So certainly know they're more than capable of doing it, but when an AE firm submits late, we just went through this 2 weeks ago.
It says, please read the instructions carefully. All information requested shall be entered in the appropriate space. Your proposal may be disqualified as if not submitted as detailed below.
And it's all maybe. I mean, most of the words in there are permissive and allow us to act on what we feel is our best interest as representatives of the community.
Well, we weren't willing to move for, well, let me just say this. We went with a different bidder that was $1,600 higher because they were on time.
No, that's not why. I would disagree. That's maybe your reason, but that's not everyone's reason. You're speaking for yourself when you say that. Right. So my reason was because they saw everyone else's prices. It's unfair at that point. This is not that same situation.
Did they submit on time? No. That's all we need to know.
No, it's not. That might be what you believe. That's all you need to know, and you can decide, right?
Yep.
But you can't tell other board members how we should think or decide, make decisions. There's a completely different process that we went through.
I understand that, but
Publishing somebody's fixed fixed not to exceed price and then accepting a bid after that is completely different than accepting a bid that is qualifications-based primarily without revealing any prices. That's not the same thing. But understand, this is so super important, and I don't want you to miss this. What we did 2 weeks ago is exactly what we, the three full-timers, because we were tasked with this task, is exactly what we did 3 weeks ago. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. We went through the process, we had the right to waive it, and we left that decision up to the Board of Trustees. This is the same one. There is no deception on the part of any board member here to mislead you or not to make you understand. However, after a comprehensive review of a qualifications-based bid, when all five of us said this is the firm we want, we moved forward and we presented that. But we also made sure that every board member understood that there was an irregularity. In this case, we still believe that irregularity was minor enough not to change our minds or give anybody an undue influence. So we reached out to Mr. Huth and said, how should we act if we want to move forward with this recommendation? We didn't say, this is all that matters, or you should decide this. This is a recommendation. You may see it different than me. I respect that, but it doesn't mean I have to vote like you or you like me.
I agree 100%.
This board is making the decision, not this committee. This committee is merely making a recommendation.
I'll make a recommendation that we table this until we get a copy of all the RFQs that came in so we can do our own comparison.
Okay?
And I mean, if we have a motion.
Yep.
Sorry.
Is there support? Hearing no support, motion fails for a lack of support. Is there another motion?
I just want to add, if we're going to say, hey, we're going to stick to the terms of what our bid is, right? We're saying, we're sticking to what the RFQ says, right? That's your point, and I hear it. But what it also says, another line, it says, the Charter Township of Harrison reserves the right to postpone the proposal opening for its own convenience, reject all proposals, waive any informality in the proposals received, negotiate fees, accept any proposal which shall deem to be in the most favorable interest of the Charter Township of Harrison. So I am applying the exact terms of the RFQ that this board approved.
But they were late.
Yes, and I'm asking the board to waive that. If this board
Right.
disagrees with that, that's fine. But don't say we're not following our process, because we are.
And this isn't, and that language of this RFP is not language we wrote. We stole it from a respected municipal peer that has a purchasing department and purchasing professionals that prepare these documents. I have enough faith in the folks at Sterling Heights that I said, I'm happy borrowing their proposal because they probably have their bases covered. So, is there a motion? Is there a motion?
I'm interested beyond, I know what the three of us feel, at least. I mean, we've had long conversations. And
I'm just having a hard time, because I've had all of 15 minutes to kind of process this, because we weren't given any heads up, especially when I had to make a decision 2 weeks ago, either one way or the other. I want to make sure that I feel that I am voting fairly. So I think I'm just a little bit surprised to have heard it as I sat down tonight. I went through the board packet, read it,
Sure.
thought it was good.
Now, so this is, in my opinion, this is the dilemma and the difference. There were really two simple facts that we considered a little less than 2 weeks ago. One was a number and one was the late submittal. Understand that if we included in the board packet everything we received, we probably have over 100 megs of data just in submissions, in terms of references, in terms of cost proposals, I don't know, qualifications, number of employees, every detail that you can possibly imagine about a firm. We have, this recommendation comes as the result of probably about a 2-hour interview with each engineering firm. This recommendation comes with interviews with our peers that utilize some or all of these engineering firms to see what is your opinion, what is your experience. There's engineering firms that I could give you a submittal for and the background on, but I would also have to be able to say, I talked to 3 of our peer communities and they all said, don't go with them for these various reasons. The body of data that we're using to make this recommendation is pretty significant. So, well, I hear what you're saying, and the same with Mr. Badkins. My point is I can't think of any material I can give you that's makes you gonna say like that's gonna be able to. It's the reason why the last one, no committee, solicit bids, propose them to the board. This one, we went through a committee process because we recognize that evaluation is probably more than what you can embody in a board meeting, right? So we're coming to you saying we feel really strong this is the best firm after lots and lots of work. But there wasn't a regularity. We're sharing with you what the regularity is. We don't believe it had any impact on the decision-making, and therefore we still think this is a recommendation. We can table it forever, but I don't think, I can't, I don't think I can go into closed session and share every detail that I have. This is the result of just not, one person.
No, and I don't, and I'm not discounting how much work and effort went into this, and I completely understand, and what I read today was happy, and I'm not the one that has to sit there every day and deal with the work and deal with the company, and I understand that portion. My position is where I'm at right now and having to vote when I just did this 2 weeks ago, and I understand the difference between having the price points out and published. For me, it is the just now hearing about it and just kind of processing these things. I'm stuck. I think I get it, but I would just appreciate a little more time just to kind of think about it to make sure that I am making the fair choice in the way that I believe I should be voting with my position.
Sure, I can understand that.
I don't think that the 4 part-timers are trying to dismiss the amount of work that went into it whatsoever. And we voted to allow you to do the vetting of these different companies. And when I understand that, it's just like Mrs. Brown said and Mr. Backen said, I just wish we would have known a little bit, at least had a heads up before we sat down at the table for this meeting, that's all. So there would have been a little bit of communication so that we could have asked some questions or gotten some more information before we sat down. I'm not discrediting the amount of work they've done, and I'm sure Fishback is probably the best. That's was your job to figure out who the best firm was. It's just this last details is a little bit uncomfortable for me.
I hear you. I hear you.
That's just where I'm at, and that's
And we had these conversations, about is it worth it? Should we even interview them? But in the end, the goal, and I think everyone's goal here, is to get the best firm for the township. After spending in excess of a week of work time, the committee that you guys set up feels it's Fishback and we should waive them in an irregularity that didn't have an impact on the outcome of the process.
And again, my point is I don't know that I can, I understand the discomfort. I do, I respect that. But before we brought that idea to the board, we did have the conversation, again, with at least 2 of the firms, who not acknowledged, yeah, I guess we'd want the shot if we had an irregularity or some sort of delay in submitting our bid. We had the conversation with the attorney, and the 5 of us had that conversation. So I totally respect the hesitation. What I guess, and I, hey, we're bringing it to you late. We're bringing it to you. the decision that we made a little less than 2 weeks ago was based on data, that I could incorporate in the board packet. The decision that we're making here is based on a much, much larger scope of data, and that doesn't mean you must blindly follow us. I'm not, that isn't the point, but if we're looking for the best engineering firm, and it's a qualifications-based bid, then I'm not sure what we can give you to make you comfortable. So if you say, I'm uncomfortable, I respect that. I'm saying, I don't know what I can tell you. If you said, I just want to think about it for 2 weeks, that's cool. If you said, I want to see all the data and review it for 2 weeks, that's cool. But there's nothing I don't know of a way I can relive the process we went through for each of you to be able to understand how we got here. Simply stated, the reason you form a 3-member committee is because you can go through that process and you can have deliberations, you can ask questions, you can share what other municipalities shared with you, and it doesn't happen in an open meeting. But that in no means suggests that you have to blindly go with what our suggestion is. No, I'm not suggesting that 5 other firms are horrible or couldn't do the work. That's not the suggestion.
I guess, can I just solicit an opinion? If this wouldn't have happened 2 weeks ago, I don't think that we would be having this discussion right now. I just think it's the timing. In the 5 years that I've sat on this board, this has never happened before.
Right.
And so it's just the timing of the situation of these two decisions. It's so ironic that it's within 2 weeks of each other.
Right.
And that's where my question was what can we do in the future to make sure this doesn't happen again?
I don't know. I don't think you can. I don't think there. So let's say this. We could tie our hands and say we have no rights to waive irregularities. I don't think that makes sense. I think that's why these RFQs normally look this way. Understand that the decision we had a little less than 2 weeks ago was one that we didn't even know about, or I should say the problem we didn't know about until after we had literally published. I probably learned about it on Friday, or got the answer from Department of Roads late Thursday or sometime on Friday. And at that point, we talked about it, the three of us, and just said, put it before the board, let the board decide, give you the facts, say I don't have a recommendation, because I feel like the facts are, and don't misunderstand this, simple enough. I'm not implying that somehow some of us are simple and some of them are complicated. But the decision-making process a little less than 2 weeks ago was very straightforward, black and white. Here's this, here's that. Which one do you think wins? Is it $1,600, or is it the fact that this person knew this firm very well, must have known because they acknowledged it by looking at the board packet? To me, I feel like that was pretty simple. In this case, what we're bringing to you is something that's much more complex, much more detailed, much more lengthy in terms of the time we invested in it. And so we feel like, I won't speak for anyone else, I feel like bringing a recommendation and letting you know about what we believe is a meaningless irregularity, my opinion, we believed it was meaningless. Attorney told us we could move forward this. He didn't believe that this somehow gave anyone an advantage, is a very, very different decision than the one we made 2 weeks ago. Me, my opinion. Bringing it to you today wasn't intentional. Let me see, on my part, as the person who prepared the agenda item, wasn't intentionally deceptive, it wasn't fraudulent, it was, we talked to the attorney, I said, I mean, is there something we should do? We said, well, let's ask for that modification in the bid. But I think we'd talk about it 2 weeks from now. I think we'd come back and we'd make the same recommendation. I can say this, well, I wouldn't want to waste anyone's time. This decision is to direct us to develop a contract. It still could give you that opportunity to review this. We aren't moving forward with a contract with this firm without bringing it back to this board. But again, don't misinterpret that as me trying to strong arm or persuade.
So we're just recommend, this motion would be just to recommend the 3 full-timers and the committee to work on a contract that would be brought back to us for final approval.
So, to that point, the answer is yes. And again, and I don't mean this to deceive, but if you talked about this and we came back a few weeks later, I don't know how long that would take, and said, here's our plan, and you said, you know what, we're not comfortable with it. Or if you said a week from now, you know what, after I thought about it, we're not comfortable. We're not locking something in here. So if it happened to, hypothetically, you thought about it and you said, you know what, I think we made a mistake Monday, and I think we should revisit this. You can, we can't round robin, but we can talk, you can share your opinions. We just can't back and forth deliberate and say, I think, what do you think, I think this, you think that.
Well, I feel like we've had a large amount of discussion for this, and I'm comfortable allowing, after our conversation just now, I think that you understand where our trepidation comes into, where our feelings are about this entire situation. I'm okay with going to the next step and allowing a contract to be worked on so that it can be brought back in front of us so that we can vote on it again. That'll give us time to take a look at it and to have discussions.
And if in the meantime, anyone says, I would like to see this proposal, that proposal, I'd like to review, I mean, hell, everything we do is subject to FOIA, it's just that most of it is just gigantic.
And to be honest, I'll send everyone the proposals. I'll send anybody in the world the proposals if they ask for them.
Right.
That's what I do. But you know what? Every firm thinks they're the best firm on earth, right? Like that's what they are. They're 8.5 by 11 glossies with pretty pictures and look at this bridge I made and the ducks swimming.
Yeah, we understand it. We
Yeah.
understand it, and I think that the people on the committee understand the trepidation with the part-timers that we have. That's all
Yeah,
I'm trying to say. So I'm okay going forward and starting to work on a contract with this. I'll be more than happy to make that motion as long as we can have if we want more information, we can get that information.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. To me, the delay in acting, I don't know that I'm not sure that it pays dividends if we recognize that there's that opportunity to decide something different later. But again, I accepted, I didn't stop a motion to table this either. I'm okay with it. I'm one board member.
All right. I can word that motion then. I'll make a motion to direct the supervisor and township attorney to develop a contract for engineering services with Fishbeck and direct the 3 full-time officials to develop a plan with Wade, Trim, and Fishbeck to transfer existing projects as necessary in the most cost-effective manner, with both coming back to the board for review and approval.
And
To waive any irregularities associated with the RFQ process.
Yeah, I'll amend it, yes.
and that was a legal
That's fine.
advice, right? So I don't think it changes the outcome. I think it was just acknowledging the board acknowledging that there was an irregularity in waiving.
RFQ.
Yep. Is there support?
I'll support that.
We had a fair amount of discussion.
Now, while I believe that they're an excellent engineering firm, they're probably not the best at getting an RFP and on time. So we all agree on that, I think. And I don't think they're ever going to have to sit through this again. I'm sure that someone out there is going to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I can't state it enough. Just like let me say, anyone we've hired, and certainly if we talk about, various levels of employees, the highest paid employee that we've hired, we still recognize that there is a probationary period. There's a time of going through that process. And no matter what you think about the glossy 8.5 by 11s, you kind of find out based on how work goes. You find out about how communications go, and you find out when you start to see invoices, if you're like, wow, this is not what we anticipated. And municipalities change. There's more than one engineering firm in the Metro Detroit area. So there's enough work to go around, and we're not the first township to change firms potentially, and nothing we would decide would prevent us from having the ability to make a change in the future should we see that value.
Who were the other bidders?
I'll tell you. Well, I could probably go by memory. AEW, Spalding D. Decker, Fleece, Vandenbring,
Tri-County,
Tri-County, and
Giffords Webster.
Giffords Webster, in addition to Fishback.
I recognize everyone except for Tri-County.
So Tri-County is actually a smaller firm. They kind of take a different approach where so the five firms of that pool are varying size, but I would say 100 to 700 employees, right? If I'm just shooting from the hip, going by memory. Tri-County is kind of more where, I don't want to say a hired gun, that doesn't sound right, but to simplify, where they kind of are your go-to person and then they outsource that work. They do maybe smaller things in-house and outsource some of the larger work. So Tri-County, I know Tri-County is the engineer for Lennox Township, and I know Lennox Township has been happy with them. I couldn't tell you other firms offhand, or other municipalities off just by memory. We tend to look at the people we see, the people we have a relationship, so you talk to Macomb County, Oakland County peers to say, how do you feel with this firm, with that firm? So Tri-County is kind of not an outlier, but it's a different business model.
Different model,
Yeah.
Yeah, four out of the six, I would say, are very well-regarded AE firms. So, Mr. Witt, you did say you'd send those proposals?
Yeah, if you'd like
Put
it.
me on the list of those.
Absolutely, good sir.
And, so I guess when you're gonna come back, sounds like this is maybe gonna move forward. How is the AE, this is a question that I would think you guys would probably ask when you sit down with Fishback and Wade Trim. How does the AE liability on jobs that this firm may be taking over?
You're over my head, friend. I don't know what you mean there.
So you've got a project that's been engineered by Wade Trim. You got someone that's gonna come in and finish it. Who accepts the liability?
Gotcha.
I'm gonna wanna know that on every single job, so I would request a list of all open jobs that we have with Wade Trim. And, so that's really my personal, is I wanna know what the plan is on every firm, because what we gotta be careful of, because it sounds like this is gonna go forward, is how that is handled between them. Because you might have the existing firm say hot potato and run out the door, and then we've got a firm that is inheriting maybe something that's not engineered how they would engineer it. So I would like to be involved when we sit down with Wade Trim and potentially this customer here, because I got more questions than we could probably talk about tonight. And I'm gonna also ask if anybody submits a quote late, that the board is notified before any action is taken. That's all I got.
Well, I think it's fair to say we did that, but I think you meant.
Well, you did it 2 months late.
No, I'm sorry. What you just said is before any action is taken. I think we did that in bringing it today, but I think what you mean is you'd like to know when it happens.
That's what was supposed to come out.
No, that's okay. I mean, in other words, because saying that means we were trying to deceive you.
No,
Right.
and I'm not, listen, Mr. Witt said something that I was assuming what everybody was thinking. I know in my business, in the construction world, if you're late, it's gone. It's just gone. And there's no question about who saw the quote and who, any of that happens. It just happens like that.
Mhm.
You probably know that in this world. So, I thought I was consistent in my message 2 weeks ago, and I'm gonna follow in that same message. So,
Yeah, I respect that.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll open up the floor for public comment.
C. William Bardell, 29-year resident, clean-cut, do-gooder boy next door, 50-year skilled tradesman. So basically, we got a foundation built on Jell-O. So don't turn your bid in on time. And I know these folks did Marine City, Bell River Powerhouse, blah, 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 whatever. Big outfit. But I guess we're going to build our foundation on Jello. So there's no rules. And, you know, a few people had spines. But everyone knows the rules. You know the process. So you sharpen your pencils, you turn your stuff in on time. That's just how it is. So let's build our foundation on Jello, and let's flip-flop like a fish. So to me, it makes no sense. They could be they're very fine outfit. Yes, there's a lot of very fine outfits out there. But we don't build a foundation on Jello. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we'll close the floor for public comment. Any further board comment?
Well, I'm just one board member. I'm trusting the three on the committee.
5, really. But
Yeah, and plus,
Yeah.
Justin and Brent. I believe hiring the best engineering firm that we can possibly get our hands on is the most important and the most critical part. I know that RFPs are important and deadlines are important, but in the business I come from, and I'm just one board member, not as important as the qualifications are. So, and that's why I feel a little bit differently about this, and I think I was vocal about that in the last meeting. To me, it's the best firm, not necessarily the minutia of the paperwork. So, that's all I got to say about it.
fair enough. Any other board comment? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Olgiati with support by Mr. Brado. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you, board. All right, next on the agenda, and I appreciate the spirited debate and discussion. I would want to serve with board members who bring nothing less. All right, next on the agenda is item E2. I think I've got page 70. Let's take a look. This is Beautification Commission Landscape contract for 2026. The 3-year contract with Lucia Landscaping expires this year for spring and fall cleanup, mulch, weeding, and maintaining the many flower beds in the township. Susan Keene asked for a new quote for 1 year for 2026 on behalf of the Beautification Commission. There were some issues identified with Lucia not completing some of the bed maintenance that was originally agreed to, leaving Mr. and Mrs. Keene to do that work throughout the last year in particular. She met with the account manager, Cassie, regarding the issues. She has revised the contract to include the appropriate maintenance. There is a Beautification Commission meeting on the same day and time as the board meeting, so Mrs. Keene had indicated she would not be able to attend the board meeting, but this is her recommendation, and I believe it's a 1-year agreement because I think she would had indicated she wanted to see if they responded to the concerns. So the recommendation is to approve the 1-year contract for garden maintenance and mulching with Lucia's Landscaping for $15,028.25 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'd like to support it with adding a couple things, if that's okay.
Okay. Well, actually, we'd look for a support, or, I mean, you might propose an friendly amendment?
Yeah, friendly amendment.
How about that?
I'd like to move to approve the contract with Lucia Landscape, subject to the attorney modifications of the terms and conditions, so that the township is adequately protected pursuant to the insurance certificate attached with the email you guys got this today from Ms. Keene. And what that's saying is they have us listed as the additionally insured, but in their Ts and Cs, they have it opposite. So I walked through it with Mr. Huth earlier today. That was a recommendation, so if we can get to contract terms with the protection of the certificate of insurance, I would like to add that friendly.
Well, so there's a proposed amendment to your motion.
I accept.
Okay. My concern is we either move forward with it or we don't. This isn't, I think, time sensitive. I mean, this is for 2026. So if there's a need to do something, because my concern is I don't want to find myself in a situation where I don't fully understand what your concern is, and then we execute it subject to, right? So I got to look to Mr. Huth. Maybe you understand it better than me.
I do understand it, it just, the language was a little confusing on a T&C. I can incorporate the representation with respect to insurance certificate. I don't think the vendor's gonna have an issue with it.
Okay.
And it wasn't listed on the proposal. They have a link to their Ts and Cs. That's where I found that. And that's why I met with Mr. Huth earlier.
Yeah, no problem.
Didn't sound like a,
Okay.
So I guess my question, would it be more appropriate for me to withdraw my motion and table the item until we can get that resolved?
You feel comfortable, I'm looking at the attorney, yeah. In other words, if they say no, then we wouldn't move forward.
Yeah.
So you understand the concern, you feel it's a legitimate concern. So I guess really what we're saying is Mr. Huth says, hey, listen, you need to change it. If they say no, we're not moving forward.
I guess
As
we're
long
ready
as
for
the
a
board
vote.
is clear, right?
thank you,
Is that,
Mr.
is
Tupman.
that understood? So if Mr. Huth isn't happy with it, we're not doing it. Okay, so we do have a motion with support, with that modification. Is that clear? Everybody clear with that? Okay. All right, let me go back to my board, back in here. Okay, any discussion on the motion?
I just have a quick question. This is mostly just to protect Sue and Jim for not having to do any more work than they already do, because they do a tremendous amount.
This is correct.
I don't see where all this work is being done. Is that written somewhere else? Like, I just want to make, like,
I spoke to her about that this afternoon.
okay.
Right. So what,
But it doesn't say what parts of, what areas in Harrison Township.
all the beds. Oh, you're talking about all the individual beds? I
Right.
spoke to Mrs. Keen this afternoon, and I asked her exactly that question. I said, are you comfortable with the agreement that you have with this company now? And she expressed to me that she feels much more comfortable now going forward with this company after they discussed the issues that her and Jim had with having to maintain the beds. So that was the question I asked her, and she said she had multiple conversations. She's got a contact person now. She said before it started out good, and then all of a sudden, over a year or two, it started to get, she had new people come onto the jobs, and they weren't doing the things they had originally discussed, but now she feels more comfortable with it. That was out of her mouth today when I spoke to her on the phone.
Yeah, and to your point, you know, we recognize that, you know, over a period of time, our beautification commission, with strong leadership of the Keens, have added, enhanced, and maintained numerous beds. And I don't know that, I think we're probably in a situation where beautification commission, as its own subcommittee, or what you might be within the township, has more of a hold on exactly which ones and who maintains those. And I think kind of like to that point, like there's a certain amount of faith. Look, we wouldn't have half of them, if not all of them, if it wasn't for beautification and the work the Keens do. But over a period of time, we felt like, you know, maybe some of the labor, the ongoing maintenance, ought to be contracted out. But there is, this decision involves, not unlike the last one, a certain amount of faith in our beautification commission and the Keens to identify those issues. And
The main reason that I did make that phone call to Sue today, because the maintenance, the monthly maintenance of the beds is a large part of the contract itself. So I wanted to make sure that she was comfortable going forward, and she had discussions with this Lucia company, and she expressed to me wholeheartedly that she had no issue with it whatsoever. So
If Sue's good, I'm good. I just would have liked to have seen actual locations of the ones that they were doing to make sure that we could hold them accountable, because if they were lacking the last year. But if Sue feels comfortable with it, then I'm fine.
okay,
Forward.
all right, any other discussion?
If the work doesn't get done, you know, Sue's gonna do it, so.
Well, and I think to that point, I think
Not if we're paid.
there's still a certain amount of ongoing work that I know the Keens do, but I The idea being like some of the backbreaking, I shouldn't say backbreaking work, because they break their backs, I don't mean that, but, should they be lugging mulch? No, I think we can, but are you gonna stop her from going out and trimming flowers when they die before this company gets there? You're probably not gonna beat her to it,
Right.
so.
I wouldn't want to stand in her way.
Exactly.
If you drive down any road in the summertime in Harrison Township, she's in one of those beds somewhere doing something.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Right. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, we've got a motion with support. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. I gotta make a note. I gotta do, not just execute that. All right, next on the agenda is the really exciting stuff regarding the Macomb County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Board members, the Macomb County Office of Emergency Management has developed and updated their hazard mitigation plan. It has been reviewed and approved by FEMA. Formal approval requires that all communities adopt the plan by resolution. Chief Bostater is our primary emergency management liaison. He has reviewed the plan and approves of it. Therefore, I'm recommending that we adopt the Macomb County Hazard Mitigation Plan by resolution.
So moved.
Support.
Got a motion by Mr. Badkins, with support by Mr. Brado. Discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Backens?
Yes.
Mr. Brado?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Olgiati?
Yes.
Mr. Tominelli?
Yes.
Mr. Witt? Yes. Mr. Verkowski?
Yes. Thank you, Board. Next on the agenda, item E4, regarding Beacon Cove Harbor. Beacon Cove Harbor Incorporated is the current owner of the marina located at 36360 Jefferson. The state granted a lease for the marina bottomland rights to Beacon Cove over 50 years ago. These rights are set to expire this calendar year and cannot be extended. So when they grant them, sometimes they grant them with an extension. That extension has already happened. The state will allow the lease to be renewed for 25 years with an option to renew or extend for an additional 25 years. One of the requirements for this new conveyance is a resolution of support from the local municipality. Attached is a written request for this resolution, the notice from Eagle, about the expiration, and the need to apply for a new conveyance, the existing lease documents, and the proposed resolution of conveyance support. I recommend the approval of the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve of the conveyance of the bottom land at 36360 Jefferson as proposed.
Is there support?
support.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Witt with support by Mr. Olgiati. This is kind of a scenario where the state has the right, but you'll see sometimes the state wants to know that the local municipality is in support of the continued conveyance.
We literally did this for this property, a different section of this property, 3 months ago.
Yeah, we've done, these all seem to have come up all about the same time. And these are economic drivers, these marinas in our municipality, and a lot of folks, it's their happy place. And we think this is a good idea. Any discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Mr. Witt, yes. Mr. Olgiati?
Yes.
Mr. Backens?
Yes.
Mr. Brado?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Tominelli?
Yes.
Mr. Verkowski?
Yes. Thank you, Board. Next is item 5, which was the item formerly known as E1, regarding shuttle bus driver. Board members, the senior center is in need of another part-time shuttle bus driver for their program. Adding driver Anthony Pacifico would help alleviate the shortage. Anthony already has an active chauffeur's license and can start as soon as needed. Per our policies and procedures, the non-CDL rate is $17.57 an hour. So the recommendation is to hire part-time shuttle bus driver Anthony Pacifico pending a drug screen at the hourly rate. Discussion, or is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there support?
Support.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Board. Next is public comments. We'll open up the floor for public comment. They could be about any subject you wish. We ask that you try to limit them to 5 minutes in length.
C. William Bardell, 29-year resident, clean cut, do-gooder boy next door. Clean up, fix up, people helping people. I just want to remind everyone, please check out Save Lake St. Clair on Facebook. There's a little bit of reading material there for you. And I want to thank Fishbeck for sticking around for the whole meeting. That shows respect for the township and the board. So I think they're going to be okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we'll close the floor for public comment. Any further board comment?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, is there support?
Support.
All right, got a motion with support to adjourn. Discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, board.
You got the, download the turntable.